Good morning. I made these cute little zombie creatures yesterday and decided I don't like the proportionality of the girl next to the boy. She looks like a miniature person. So we're going to remake her today, and I'm going to show you how I direct glue 3D layered cardstock. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the file, and I think she needs to be about an inch bigger. So I'm going to change this to 4.5. And then I'm going to compare her to the boy, and I think her face looks about the same. Maybe just go a touch down, 4.4. I think that's much more proportionate. So that's what we're going to go with. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide my other creatures and show you how we will lay her out on the mat. And hit the Make It button. And she's going to be on 9 mats, and we're going to change that to 2 mats for ease of cutting. So I've already cut the colors that I made her in yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and make her work. So for mat number 1, this is her first color. We're going to move it all the way over to the right and go ahead and get this put on the mat. So she's at between 8 and 9. Her feet are almost centered on 9. There we go. We'll move her down just a little bit. So that's where she's going to go, right there. And the next color I want on mat number 1, these are all going to be solid core colors. We're going to go with her green pants. So we're going to go down and find her green pants. And I'm going to hit these 3 dots and say Move Object and put her on mat number 1. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the bottom corner. That's easy enough. We're just going to line it up in the bottom corner. Start brayer and pull it on. And then our next solid core color is the back of her hair. And this is tricky. All of these grays look a lot the same. That one's her outline. That one is the top of her hair because of the lines. So this one is the back of her hair. We're going to go ahead and move that to mat number 1 and pull her all the way down to the bottom. So her hands expand at 10. I'm going to put it over the edge just a little bit. So that's where that one's going to go. And then our last solid core color is going to be her outline. That's the black. So we're going to move that object to mat number 1. And she goes in the top corner. And so the reason that we kept it away from the top corner is it's easier to move them when they import. They always start out where they are on the previous mat. Since they're already in the top right corner, we moved them away from that. So that is going to be our cut mat number 1. So then for our cut mat number 2, we're going to go ahead and get all of her white core cardstock. These colors are not solid core. So when you cut them, you'll see each little knife mark. We'll start with the top of her hair, and we're going to mirror this mat because if it's cut upside down, you don't see those knife marks near as much. So I'm going to put her in the right corner again, and I'm going to line her up by the corner. Make sure her feet are just over 10. Yeah, we've got plenty of space on this cut. Actually, looking at this, I think I put that a little bit low. I'm going to adjust it. Move it up a little bit. There we go. All right, next up are her 2 shirts. This is going to be the top of her shirt. That's going to be the slightly lighter color. And then when we move it over, it automatically mirrors it because this mat has been mirrored. So we're going to put it down at the bottom. And with this one, I cut it a little bit differently. So her balloons come out at about 9. So we want her balloons to come out at about 9. I think that's good placement. It's okay to go over the bottom of the mat. That will not affect the blades at all. Just make sure you're putting your textured side down because we are mirroring this. And then this is our last little body piece. Go ahead and put that on this mat. Again, she automatically mirrors. And we're going to put her right about here. All right, there's 2 little cuts left. These don't always cut easily in small pieces. If your mat's not sticky enough, they will slide when they cut because there's just not enough down on the mat. So we have the 2 darker pieces that we're going to go ahead and move over. And they are already mirrored. We're going to move those over, put them between 4 and 5. And then put this here between 4 and 5. That's what I cut it from yesterday. And then we're going to move the 2 lighter pieces over to our mat. And that's going to be between 1 and 2. All right, and then we'll hit the continue button. And there we have it. We have 9 mats down to 2 mats. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and I will be back. Okay, we have 2 mats cut, and we are back to our canvas. So let's go ahead and take this little lady off and see what we have. As I was peeling away the outer layers, I noticed on this one, I've got just a little bit of tearing, and it won't affect our design. We'll still be able to use it. And I've got a little bit of lifting in the cardstock. That means either my mat isn't sticky enough or I didn't adhere my paper well enough to my mat. There was lift and the blade caught the paper. But it's still very usable. We won't have to recut this one, thankfully. With cardstock, you shouldn't have any weeding to do. It should pull off nice and clean. And this one is our outline layer, so it's a little bit more delicate. So I've got like 2 little places to poke out is all. I'm going to leave her eyes and stitches on the mat until I'm ready to use them. All right, we now have all 7 layers of our little zombie girl here. And we have to figure out how they go together. So the easiest way to do this is to ungroup our image and pull it apart and see which way they are stacked. But you can also figure it out by looking at them. So this one is completely solid, which means it's going to be the back. And so you're looking for the least solid pieces, and as you go, you can sort them and see which color is poking through at each level. So this one is going to show the pants. It's going to be our next layer. And then this one, it's okay that we're on the edge of the paper because it's just our shirt layer. That's going to be covered up with another layer. And that's where I had that little miscut, and it's fine because it's going to be covered up again by another layer. I think our next one is going to be her face. And then her hair. And then the texture in her hair. And then last but not least will be her outline layer. And this one, I have that little dotted line through her hair, and that is my bad. She is going to have a dotted line through her hair. I tend to start with the face piece, and then I go back to the back. So this is her face piece. And so her next layer up is going to be her hair. I'm going to keep the rest of these in order right here. And so I'm going to glue the back side of her hair And this is art glitter glue. It dries fast. You have to work fast with it, but it sets nice and solid. So I just do a really thin outline. There we have it, and make sure there isn't any glue that's dried that you need to touch up on real quick. And then we're gonna glue the 2 layers together. And so these are small enough, it's really easy to feel all of the edges. And I think she's lined up. And we press. All right, now that I have her face layer done, I'm going to do her facial features. I only want 1 layer to work on her facial features. And so we're going to pull those off of here. This is what I call the negative. And it should fit right in here. Like a perfect pattern so we know where her pieces go. And I'm going to dot a piece of glue, really small dot. And then I'm going to grab this eye and push it in there. And then do that again with the other ones. You don't want a very big dot because if you have glue bleed, you'll pick up that negative that you're using to get your spacing. And I think with her stitches, I'm going to glue the back of this thing because it's just a really little space. And this one is very likely to have glue bleed, so we're going to immediately grab our pick and take this piece off. And there you have it. Her face is set. All right, so now I'm going to put her back in the order she goes. Her hair stripes go on top of her, and we're going to start at the back. So here's our very back layer. And so our next layer is the one we want to glue because this is the one that's going to have less cardstock. The back layers are easier. There's not as intricate of pieces to go. So then I always start, I look at the back, line it up, turn it around, make sure I don't see anything. I don't like little pieces of glue. It will dry clear, but it'll give you a different texture. And this art glitter glue dries super fast, so you have to work with it. Look at all of your details and work with it as you go. I don't worry about gluing the inside of intricate details like this shirt unless there are loose pieces. And since this one doesn't have loose pieces, it's easier not to end up with glue everywhere. So find my grab point, get it perfectly lined up, press, turn, and verify. This doesn't have to be perfect, but if you have little extra outside pieces, you do want to make sure to get them. And I don't want her hair to be all gluey at the end. So. All right, so this is a much more intricate layer. I am going to go everywhere there's a big enough space to glue. We do want her face because that may not glue down well otherwise. My uncle used to do model battlefields. Whenever I'm doing this, I think of him. Shift, slide, make sure you can't see any of the back layers. Nice and solid. All right, the more intricate you get, the more glue bleed you're gonna have to clean up. This one is a zombie, so if she's a little bit messy, it's very forgivable. All right, last full layer. When these details get super intricate, occasionally I will use a craft spray adhesive and then just use art glitter glue at the points, so like at the shoulder or the inside of the armpits, the tips and edges of the hair at the top. I just saw that I missed her ponytail, but we can still get that out. Okay, since I put glue on her ponytail piece, we want to take that out before we lay her down. That's enough. I'll be able to get out with that. We have balloons that go there, so that glue on the top is fine. All right. So our last little bit for this girl is her balloons. And I have left those on the mat so they didn't get lost while we did the rest of her. It looks like in the picture the big piece is going to go on the left. And then there's going to be a zigzag for a broken heart. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. And I'm using the dimension of the outline to try to figure out where it goes. I think it's a little high. It's about the same amount of outline the whole way. Something like that maybe. Make sure you get that little tip. There we have it. Our broken-hearted zombie, so that they are now more dimensionally sized. The direct glue method. Check us out on Facebook at Cricut Tips and Tricks and Helpful Links for more ideas on how to make your crafting the best that it can be.